Hey everybody, Asher here, back with some more Kerbal Space Program, where good news, we have at least one mission that looks like it's working to be a success. This is the Duna Behemoth, and it is the next thing on our schedule for actually getting back here. Like I said before, there are some asteroids and things that I can work on doing intercepts with. And there's a lot of other missions that are kind of floating around in terms of my Joule station that won't actually do much with or Joule and my Elo Traveler that I'll actually have to spend a long time actually breaking. And I even have my rescue mission to Duna as well. So those will all be fun and well and good and together before long. But we still need to get some of our crew home because, as I've said before, I have run into some bugs and some issues where when I don't have my when I have too many ships out in the atmosphere and in the orbit and everything, it makes for a bad time. So we're just going to go ahead and time accelerate here. We're still getting some precious signs, but I do have a mission to return things home from Ike as well, because we did have a mission. And since this ship flew by Ike, pretty much everything's going to be able to go on back in. Now, one of my questions is, how exactly is this ship going to survive reentry? I think I designed this ship in 1.0.2. It is 0.4 now, and they have changed some of the dynamics quite a bit. But look, there is the intersection. How far away are you guys from each other? Not quite that close. But still, we do have some Eve rescues that are going to need to happen before long. We do have another grand tour that we can do with tourists. But the first thing is just to try and get some of my principal crew back home. And to that effect, we are going to be sending some stuff to Duna, and we're going to be sending some of our ships back over here. And I do want to kind of check and make sure that I don't miss my window. Shouldn't need much in the way of a course correction here. But let's go ahead. We got 23 days. Yeah, let me just do a quick break here and make sure that my rescuer is going to be okay, because I thought it had a substantially more time before it had a Duna intercept. Let's go ahead and hop to... Let's go... You know, we don't even have to go to the map here. Let's switch to it. Here's the unmanned rescuer with all of the goodies and gadgets and everything, as I've had some issues getting encounters and everything before, but right now it looks like we have a decent encounter with Duna, some 300 so meters. I can always try and see if I can adjust on the fly. Unfortunately, it does not want me to do much in the way of maneuver nodes, which stinks just a little bit. But if we focus the view here real quick and zoom in, we can see that we have a very close periapsis. And if I do my RCS real quick this way, yeah, if we do it this way, we can get just a touch closer. Maybe if we can even bring it up just like this. See, just some tiny course corrections are going to make a world of difference, because I do need an equatorial orbit. Fortunately, Ike is not going to be really trolling me or anything here, but let's get ourselves a little bit closer. We have plenty of RCS fuel. We have plenty of RCS fuel, right? Yeah, we do. So see, we're already at like 100,000. Like I said, the thing that worries me is that equatorial? Almost. The thing that really worries me about this ship is whether it can actually like survive the atmosphere. Because when I first came into the Duna atmosphere, it was just, how do I put it? It was pretty close. But I had to, because the atmospheres were thinner. Now that I'm on the default atmosphere, going in 15,000 may be a bit too much for the rescuer. So let's put it at like 20 right now, and we'll figure it out later. Let me do a quick save as well, because those sweet orbital adjustment mid-course correction maneuvers don't just make themselves. And notice I still don't have the satellite missions available. I don't want to just cancel them, but we still have a ways to fly before we get to our encounter. So there's the rescuer. Let's go ahead and switch back to the Duna Behemoth. All right. Now here we go again. The way that I was originally planning on having this rescue work was that I was going to... Well, how do I put it? These parts can kind of detach. This may or may not survive reentry on its own. It should, because I'm not doing a full aerobrake. Apparently, the latest update made like 20,000 meters your threshold of terror. Let's just go ahead and look at Kerbin real quick. make sure we don't need to do any mid-course corrections here, because once again, I'm running into the same issue I run into before of My ships just do not like at all, or not my ships, but I cannot get maneuver nodes to do what I need for them to do. So if I do the RCS thing, see, this is a heavier, well, do I even have, I should have some RCS. Should. Just a little bit. Alright, so if I can just figure out, well, it helps if I turn on the RCS. Because I've got to bring this in a good deal closer. Guess I could just always rotate and burn. Yeah, there's just a little bit of a challenge. Because I can't do the maneuver nodes like I would like on this, which is just bonkers. Just straight up crazy town to me. They won't even let me do this. Alright. So if I try and do a maneuver, I don't really care what my orbit looks like right here. Oh, we don't want that. So if we do a maneuver kind of like this and get ourselves in real close. Real close. Where is that node? Because that should be the same way. I have to do it here. That is a huge adjustment from right here. But if I make this burn substantially similar, much further out, probably could have used it, done it even further out than this. But here we are in the world we live in. Maybe the ship will point straight as well, and we'll all be happily ever after. Like I said, my biggest concern is just, will this ship return? Okay, or is it going to burn up into the atmosphere? I need to do one aero capture, but I don't want to be too aggressive. I do have some spare fuel. And I still remember just how horrible this lurched previously. So here we go. Looks like this is the maneuver we need. We're not looking to do anything with the moon. All we want to do is to get these guys home. I don't even care if there's a splashdown or not. But if we can bring a vessel that's been in front of Ike, we'll get another contract complete. So here we go. Just a little bit of fuel. We have plenty of fuel on this budget here. And what kind of periapsis do we want to get to, I guess, is the next question. So just a little bit of a course correction. 2 million, 1 million. Let's drop it down. 60,000 is barely scraping the atmosphere. We're going to be coming in fairly fast. 30,000 is pretty aggressive, but we'll give it a shot. It's Kerbal Space Program after all, right? So let's go ahead and say, you know what, guys? Bill, Valentina, Ronnie, Bob, 4 of you have actually made it back from a space mission that you've been out for nearly 3 years for. So with Kerbin in our sights, we don't want the unknown object. We don't want the unknown object. This is the thing. It's just like it clicks on what it wants to, not on what I need it to. Alright, well, let's get that node out of there. So if for some reason we screw up this air capture, we can pretty much make our way to Eve. And considering this ship kind of has a history of screwing up aero captures, I still can't switch to the Behemoth view. Here we go. Just all the way over there. And we should actually be able to see Kerbin right now. Can we see it? Can we see the little blue dot that's home? It's a little harder in the skybox, but it's out there. Okay, if the sun's that way, and it's going to be coming in from right there. There it is. We're about to be in the sphere of influence. You can see the moon going around. And yeah, for the first time, you can see our cruise is going to light up here in just a minute. Homeward, right nearby. We can just get a touch closer, but we don't want to warp all the way past it. That's where bad things happen. So that's why we have the auto slowdown as we get over here. Now we do have some system power available, like I said before. Our goal here is to get into an aero capture, and then we can do some maneuvers to try and move some of the remaining science that's stored here to other places, because we want to bring that science return to the surface, although, to be honest, I don't really worry too much about this. We are going to do one last science transmission real quick, because there still is, we have plenty of data on here. The ship still is fairly functional. And I may just drop that mobile processing lab onto the Skytown, which would almost make it worth putting myself in a circular route. But I'm not leaving a lot of science on the table. Not when my tech tree's nearly filled out. And not when I'm returning with so much landing science and otherwise, because this is a Duna lander that I'm also going to try and return on the land to Kerbin. Which means, if we can actually zoom in here, I probably do need to have somebody go around and patch up these parachutes. So, Valentina, let's not blow up the ship, thank you. Turn on the light. Stretch your legs, you're in space. Alright. So let's go ahead and repack the chute. Really, engineer skilled is required to repack the chute now. Well, guys, do we have an engineer on board? I do not think we do. That only slightly changes what we're going to do here. It just means that that ship isn't going to be coming home right away. As we look at our crew, you know what? We do have an engineer on board. His name is Bill. Bill, I heard you like EVA. I heard you hate EVA. But you're gonna do it anyway. Only the most famous engineer in the entire Kerbal Space Program. If there's anyone that can fix it, it's Bill. If I don't accidentally run into my ship first. Okay, not the service bay, guys. I can probably repack the radial chute. Really? Is Bill Kerman like a level 0 engineer? Or something? This is so weird. Alright, well, apparently Bill the engineer is not going to be able to repack these chutes very well. Bizarre. Well, maybe we can find another way to fix that. Grab and board. Yeah, let's look at this again. He is actually a level 0 engineer. What in the blazes? Alright, so neglecting my engineering skills for all of my missions here has apparently made things super exciting for this return. Alright, so in that case we are going to need a 90-degree orbit. Is it going to be is it a retrograde orbit right now? Tisk tisk, I think it is. I think we are currently coming in retrograde. Because it's what? Everything's supposed to be going the other direction here. So let's just whoop. Not all the way around. That's just crazy, guys. We don't want a polar return. Okay, we're almost there. Alright, now we're running into the moon actually trolling us a little bit. It's like Ike, only nicer. What's our periapsis there? Periapsis is 60. So we may be able to do one more burn when we get a little bit closer. I do not like this. But and we can't actually rotate very well. We can do this. We still have RCS that doesn't take electricity. So yeah, interesting challenges when you realize, hey, wait a minute, our engineer is not actually an engineer, apparently. So does this mean that my crew doesn't actually get to come home? I'm going to have to check the Space Center and see. Do I actually have to hire an engineer, throw him on a mission real quick, and then say, oh, by the way, fix this, because our orange-suited engineer can't do it. Alright, we have 200 Delta V maneuver. Not my favorite. But what is, really? Still, we got the fuel for it, so it's going to make re-entry possibly easier, perhaps. And then we can do one more little tweak. Of course, we could just fly straight into the planet right now, too. But I'm going to save my tweaks for after we're past the moon's sphere of influence. So right now, we're still not quite 90 degrees like I'd like. Okay, so 30. Or I could actually send Bill in the first landing and then come back. Because he'll get all of his flight experience this way, and then he can come back up and save the day for the other things. That seems like the thing to do. So if we do the IVA for Bill, he's currently in the big monster. That's not the button we wanted to hit. So we have some fuel left. You know what? It's now or never time. Let's just go ahead and return home. Camera off. And we are about to reach... Where's that blue planet? There it is. Let's get a little closer. We're not only going to have a blue planet thing, we're going to actually fly by the moon as well. And I could, you know what, I could conceivably science the moon a little bit with my instruments too. And get that bonus stuff, but I don't really need it. So let's go ahead and get closer, but not too fast. See, we're actually going to have a moon flyby as well, so Bill is going to gain some experience right here, that's for sure. And what is our moon periapse? It's about 1 million. So, interestingly enough, as we flew to Ike before to get to Duna, we are now getting a slight nudge from the moon to go back home. So here's our Mooner encounter. So everybody's very excited. The moon is something they have not seen in a long time. We're going to get pushed just a little bit. There's the sun going out of the picture. Back in, and here we go. We are on our way home, boys and girls, as we just want to make sure that we are not screwing up any of other missions. We are not. Those are all in decent time. And so begins our descent in the post-commentary world, where time is suddenly very accelerated as we are moving in towards the air capture. And I realized very quickly that, you know what, things are going to probably be okay. I'm just hoping that things do not overheat on here. So like I said, there's some issues that I ran into a little bit before. As you can see, I'm just trying to transfer some crew here. There's a little bit of science to be moved around as well, because the goal is to get the right crew down there first. So, and like I said, a little of this is post-commentary, so I don't exactly remember what I talked about on video, what I didn't talk about on video. But it is going to be one scientist and the engineer, Bill, going to the surface first because Bill amazingly does not have any experience. So here is the darkness. Actually, beautiful cityscape with the city clouds and lights. Very, very crowded continent. Actually, more America than America. But like I said, the air capture here, there was a little bit of slowdown because the Behemoth is still a fairly large vessel. So you can see that I already have a pretty good curvature, and I'm not 100% sure that this is in fact going to work. And unfortunately, once again, this is another matter of all of the good things in this game happening on the dark side of the planet. And so there's the moon peeking out over the horizon, and there is our escape trajectory going in. And you can see one reason that I time accelerated is because it makes the fire look a lot better. Because if this was in real time, you would see it be going really slow, as you may remember from some of the Duna videos and Duna landings. Yet for some reason, even though the SAS is off, for some reason this ship wants to tilt one way. I've had a lot of problems in the most recent patch with ships just wanting to tilt in one particular direction and kind of keeping it there. But regardless, we are getting closer to being okay. There's a few overheat markers, but really nothing terribly severe. Like I said, I just hope that I dipped deep enough into the atmosphere to make it kind of where I want to go, because some of the course adjustments and everything I made, pretty much the gravity assist from the moon didn't quite put me at the periapsis that I quite expected to be at. But still close enough to okay. The heat indicators going up so high is a pretty big change from 1.0.2 when this came to the fore, which you may remember from the Duna landing and Duna air capture that this went through. But fortunately, there we are. A very, very large periapsis to be sure, but still our orbit is going to be within Minmus's orbit. And to be honest, this does have enough fuel to possibly, maybe even make a return trip to Duna. But we're not going to be doing that. These people need to get home. As you'll see in some of the upcoming stuff, I have some weird things happening in my save, and it really makes me feel like I should get some of my stuff just out of the air and maybe try and focus on one complicated mission to another planet at a time instead of having a bunch of stuff simultaneously. But there's the air capture. There's the new glow effects from the new patch. It's not big highlights anymore, and I like it better. It's more subtle, but it's fine. And there is the sun rising overhead, a nice shot as our crew is actually going to be coming back home in 2 stages. So let's jump back to live commentary real quick right about now. And here we are, just zoomed forward a little bit, and we are almost at the apoapsis. It's 47 minutes away. 5 more days for this to get back down here. And we're just going to do a little bit of a separation maneuver here. I think we're going to see if we can get Bill home and then probably call this an episode. Because like I said, the next step is going to be to come back up here. I am not 100% confident in this ship's ability to even survive reentry. As it stands right now, there's a lack of heat shielding for all this stuff. I could try and dock something on top, but that's not always stable. Plus, I have to make sure it doesn't flip the other way here. So this lander, it might be able to make it back. I might give it the old Valentina combust and dies try. But I think it's at least going to be safer because this part is designed to go back. So let's go ahead and get Ronnie on the EVA. And all we're going to do here first, where are you, Ronnie? Where are you, Ronnie? There's not too many places that you can be. Alright, all we're going to do, and this is the way we want to go. Wow, we are flipping crazy here. What in the world? Shoot. Alright. Well, for some reason, oh wow. Ronnie, why can't you focus on the ship? That is really, really bizarre and a little disorienting. So for some reason, you saw that camera work too. Let's grab it and then let's see. How much data can we take? So here is the science transfer. Hope you enjoyed the motion sickness. There is another weird flip out, but more one to be expected here. Once upon a time when I first did this mission, you could only have 10 items of science per unit here, and now you can have a lot more science. So we will be able to bring home all the science, and I'm getting it from the lander as well, just in case it burns up to crispics in the atmosphere, which I'm hopeful that it won't. And I have a plan, I say I have a plan, for getting it back to the surface. But it's not a foolproof plan or anything, but hopefully it's one that has a contingency of escape. But the next step is just to go ahead and do some undocking maneuvers and everything. Like I said before, or maybe I said during the live commentary for this, I am absolutely certain this Duna lander has both enough fuel to get back to Duna, and if someone could just repair the parachutes, actually land on Duna, at least with this orbit right now, because with the right ejection angle, pretty much all the energy you need to get out of the system is already there for the most part. It's not a lot of delta V. If you can get to Minmus, you can get to almost anywhere in the Kerbin system, is the saying, as people say. And especially when we have upgraded technology, things like better solar panels, things like that, we're in decent shape. So here is the ship split going back, and here is me back in live commentary. But I think it is time to go ahead and call this a mission. So how do we do that? Decouple. Decouple. And suddenly we are just a can floating in space. Maybe I should have thought my decoupling strategy through a little better. Because right now I may be crushed. What? We actually landed. You're remember seeing that too. Well, I'm glad there were no explosions because we just flew through another part of our ship. Okay, well, that is a thing that happens. Like I said, weird stuff going on in this save. I don't even know if I'm even going to make it back to the surface here, but post-commentary time again is, once again, we've done the reentry burn plenty of times before, but what makes this one especially important is that we do want to return a part of a vessel that has flown by Ike that is a contract that's there. We want to get experience for Bill so that we can actually have an engineer that has engineering skills. And of course, we're going to be landing near but not quite at the Kerbal Space Center. So that is how that one rolls out. Still, we have the usual nice burn, the ablative shielding, holding very well. But as you can see real quick, the decoupling once again kind of messing with my periapsis. I meant to dive in a lot lower, and what ends up happening instead is that we do a skip. We go into the atmosphere and back out. So that's one reason that this is kind of looping around for so long, and I'm opting for post-commentary here, is that it was all you had to do is just go for one time and make it in there, and we do not do that as I'm reviewing the contracts, probably saying something very insightful, but we're going at 4 times time acceleration because even though we are getting an air capture, and I'm like, oh no, is the ablative shielding actually going to hold? Which it should. But they get to do just one more orbit. But hey, after being on a 3-year mission, what's a little bit more time? So there is Kerbin floating around yet again. Maybe they could get back to that huge land side, but no, that is not going to be the case. I'm going to go just all the way back around. And it takes 4 hours for Kerbin to spin around, so I kind of underestimate just how far I have to go. Once again, dark side of the planet. But you do have the nice skybox right there, which is from a mod that I've kind of had to force to work in this update. And maybe it has been updated for the patch by now, or something similar. I do have to redo some of my mods, put in the shimmer mods, some of the other stuff that's fun and neat. But the more important thing is our parachutes. They are still there. Our heat shield still holding. This time we are definitely going to be going into the atmosphere and going to be on a suborbital trajectory. So that's good, as we have our ship not quite at Duna, and in fact it's going to be going on orbit just a little bit beyond Duna first. So here we go with all of our lack of fuel, lack of power. Just got to land it. And I was hoping that it would be a landfall style landing, but unfortunately that's not the case. And you can see me actually adjusting the parachutes there. The default now is 1,000 meters instead of 500. And since this was pre-patch built, I don't have those coordinates or whatever right in there, but 17,000, 16,000, you'll see me check for the new feature, at least new to me feature of, is it safe to open your parachute? It's how long it's been since I've done an atmospheric re-entry that wasn't on Eve, where it's all just a supersphere all the time. But there is our brave crew. They're smiling. They know they're going to make it. The parachutes are safe, and we are good to go. Of course, as I talked about in previous videos, there's been some drones launching nuclear-powered rockets into the ocean, so who knows if the world is a radioactive hellscape that they're returning to. But hey, they got to catch up on the news at some point. Let's go back to live commentary and close out this episode. Splash. So how much was that worth? 13,000 science minus a bit because of policies here. So 1,300 science, excuse me. So 0 data for that, 900. And keep in mind that a lot of the science has been kind of churned out and used from high up. And this is material study from space, high over Ike too. All these things are pretty good. Nice to be able to reset experiments with people. But yeah, the Duna's upper atmosphere, Duna's midlands. We were able to get some stuff back from the lander and everything too, which is pretty good. Recovery of a vessel from a flight over Duna is our bonus here. Seismic scan from Duna's midlands. So that's all pretty good. Good science, and then 3,000 money back for all the work we did. And look! Bill is now a level 3 engineer, and Ronnie is a level 3 scientist. 23 and 25 experience respectively. Total reputation is a bit higher. We got 1 contract, which was a return trip from Ike. This is the mission log, right? Incredible. So that's a little bit of money there. What other contracts do we have right now? Science data from space around Ike. We can get the complete the Supreme E4 rally. That's interesting. And it expires in 8 days. But we have 65 years to do it. We need you to do a flyby of Minmus, the Moon, and Eve, and finish in suborbit of Kerbin using a single vessel. So that is interesting. I wonder if you need to do that in orbit. We'll accept that contract, though. We'll accept this one, too, because it's easy. So yeah, that's it for now. This is Asher. We're going to pick it up next time with somebody's got to go out and rescue the rest of our Duna mission. But hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for sticking around. I got a lot more missions in the days to come and a lot to do. Like I said, the first thing I need to do was to clean up the environment so that I can actually fly big vessels instead of having everything slow down while I play. So thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around. I will see you next time.